this was a stat that like blew my mind. You are 42% more likely to accomplish your goals if you write them down. 42%. Like
that's wild.
Crazy. Just to write it down. Like that's not like go outside and like get to work. That is literally just putting pen to paper and writing down your goals.
Yeah.
You are almost double as likely to like do it.
It's almost like cementing it into stone.
Right. Yes.
It's like a manifestation in its own right.
All right, lots to talk about today with Lindsay Peragallo. We have a beauty editor here. She is going to tell us some of the beauty secrets that we need to know about the industry. One of my favorite things about Lindsay is she is such a generous human and gives back like no other. And her house is filled to the brim with samples. And started saying, okay, I'm going to give these away to my friends. And then it turned into, let's give it away to people in the community. So I was lucky enough to be invited to her home this year. She had thousands of samples that we put into bags and donated it to the women's shelter. It was amazing. So when I tell you that she's tried literally everything in the industry, she certainly has. So we're going to get the inside scoop from her, what we need to have as far as our skincare and hair and all the fun things. Then she's going to tell us a little bit about being a mother, but that's at the end, the beauty and the motherhood stuff, because what is so important and we really want to hear is all about happiness. She took a course from Yale, right, Lindsay?
Yes.
It was like an online course.
Yep.
All about happiness. And as Casey just texted me 5 minutes ago saying she needs this happiness education like she needs Jesus right now.
Yeah. No, like the world needs Jesus. That's like a lot.
Yeah. So, Linz, tell us a little bit about the course.
Yes. So it's actually a free course on Coursera, but there is a professor out of Yale University, Dr. Lori Santos. I believe she's a doctor. But she does a course called The Science of Well-Being. And it was the most popular course out of Yale this was like probably 10 plus years ago that they made it free online. So the whole, it kind of goes into the science of happy and like what it means to be happy, how to be happy. And to me, one of the most unbelievable pieces of it was you are kind of like genetically programmed. A part of your happiness is genetically programmed. So some people are truly wired to be a little bit happier than others. And that makes up about 50%. So that is a pretty big chunk, you know. So when there are people that float a little higher, it's certainly can be from their DNA. But to me, one of the most fascinating things is that the other 50% is a 40-10 split. And only 10% of your other half of your happiness is actually determined by the things that happen in your life, like the actual circumstances.
Really?
The other 40% is your actions and reactions to the things that happen around you. So like that is so in your control. And I like to talk about this concept of mental fitness and kind of training your brain to be happy. And I feel really blessed in saying that, you know, I feel like I've lived a very healthy life that it hasn't necessarily been so challenging for me to focus on training myself to be happy. However, I know there's hurdles that people have to cross that are much more challenging, but you can do it. You can put the skills to work to, make up that 40% to really give yourself the boost to actually live happily.
Okay. So question. What was one of the, and I don't mean easy, but what was one of the commandments of this class? Like step 1 to controlling how you react?
To be honest, one of them was get rid of social media, which I know it's honestly I also took this like almost 10 years ago. So obviously this is.
Oh God, they're probably horrified at what social media is now.
Yeah, it's certainly been an exponential like growth in terms of social media. However, this was really fascinating too. The reason that they talk about social media as being so detrimental to your mental health is because your happiness is very relative to points of reference in your world. And I think about like when our parents and our grandparents were growing up and their points of reference were like magazines or I guess television, depending on the generation we're talking about. And there's a level of disconnect when you're watching TV or you see celebrity and like, that that's not quote reality. So you don't really compare yourself to that person because there's just such an alternate, different universe that you're both living in. But in our world now with social media, our frames of reference are exactly us. Like I can scroll through my social media platform and find 25,000 moms that are exactly like me, living in my area, same age, same kids, like the whole thing. And it's just such an apples to apples, or your brain can see it as such an apples to apples comparison. And, if you're only seeing highlight reels, and as real as people want to be on social media, you're also mostly watching people like work through their hard times. And, sometimes when you're not sharing it, it's a lot, your feelings by yourself in your own world can feel a lot more intense and a lot rawer and a lot harder. And so that's why it is so detrimental, is because
there's like this barrier to entry thing too. Like when you say about reading a magazine or seeing a TV, you're like, oh, that is like, no, that is for a special elite force of people that were able to achieve that to get there. But to your point with social media, it's like literally the person you went to high school with is mixed in with a celebrity, is mixed in with some massive influencer, is mixed in with this person down the street. Like it can be anybody. And it's hard to be able to determine like, well, they could achieve it. Why couldn't I? But because that's actually a celebrity. Like it's,
there's a level of, disconnect. And then interestingly, even just the way social media is set up with the scroll, you're not really comparing yourself to just like the other, local mom that's just like you. You actually have created this, or social media creates this like pseudo human, because you're just quickly looking. So I'm just looking at the person that had the new baby, got engaged, got a promotion, got a new house, blah, 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 blah. So like in your brain, it's really hard for you to realize, like, from a mental health standpoint, those are hundreds of different people that all these wonderful things are happening to. Hundreds. In your brain, it's like you, and then this amazing everybody else that's just, you just see them all in the same realm of having all these amazing things happening. So that is honestly one of the big reasons. And it made a lot of sense in taking the course, and just why, because your frame of reference is so out of whack when you're on social media. And it does. I mean, as cool as it is, because you can be so connected to people that are going through similar things and, connect with so many more friends and faces. Like there is a beauty to it, but I think it's really hard to separate the two.
Well, it's also difficult when we have a podcast, we have to be on social media, or you're a beauty insider and you have to be on social media. So it's so hard when a lot of your job requirement is be on social media.
Yes.
So how do you navigate that?
So there, that was one to take away from it. However, I think we all have to kind of accept that, especially in our world, that's a reality that we have to find. So I just prioritize the other things that make your mental wellness like thrive. So one of them, which like there's studies generate long before this course, like way back when, of just journaling and writing things down. And this idea, like I said, of mental fitness. And you can truly train your brain to think happy and see positives. And it doesn't mean that you're never going through tough times, but like you just continue to persevere and focus on positive, happy things that are happening in your world or about to happen, or things you're looking forward to. And this mindset of feeling grateful for things that have happened that make you smile, and looking forward, forward looking into things that are to come that are going to be positive. It creates this like, dopamine rush in your brain of just actual releasing of endorphins and happiness. And, that's, I think, how you can kind of counteract or counterbalance some of the negatives that can come from the social world.
I love that you call it mental fitness, because there is such an emphasis on physical fitness. And I will say that probably in the last decade or so, there has been more of an emphasis on your mental well-being too. Like therapy is definitely a lot more talked about. People are a little bit more open in talking about antidepressants. And there's a little bit more like programs that are out there just for meditation and to help yourself with the mental side of things. But it's a little different than physical, because there isn't really something that you can look at and see the difference in the way that you can look in the mirror and say, my body's starting to look different.
You're not getting a brain scan every week, like you're stepping on the scale. Exactly.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. But you have a really beautiful relationship with journalism. With journaling, not quite different, but tell me a little bit about that.
One's honest and one
I actually have like kind of sparked a whole business on this like mental health, like mental fitness concept. And I went through a really horrible breakup like a million years ago at this point. But in my darkest days, where I was like, no one wanted to hear me complain anymore. And it was honestly a great thing to have ended, because it was a toxic environment that it kind of I needed somebody to just be like, enough, like, look at all these amazing things that are still happening in your life. Like, you got rid of something toxic. There's still a lot to like, be excited about and celebrate. So like, start brainwashing yourself with those things. So basically, one of my good friends, I remember he called me on like a Tuesday afternoon. He's like, flip to the back of your notebook and write these 3 things down. And he told me to write down moments of joy. So like anything that made me smile that day, that week. Told me to write down things that I was excited for in like the coming days ahead. And then a few things that I wanted to accomplish that weren't necessarily work related. So try a new recipe, call my grandma, take a walk, meditate, journal, whatever it might be. And this little like snackable notes style format of journaling is kind of what sparked this like little business that I launched called Happy Notes. And I swear from the bottom of my soul that like that practice brought me back to life and to like the happiest state. And it's something I swear by. And I like kind of unknowingly was preaching this, if you will, to some of my like close friends and family who were going through totally separate life circumstances, like, not necessarily breakup related, but just all the things that life bring you. And I'll never forget, my best friend actually one day gave me a thank you note for something I had done. And she gave me a gift card to Michael's and she's like, I want the first notebook. And I literally brought it. That's like kind of what sparked me to bring it to life. But now, that's kind of my way of like helping people prioritize their mental fitness is through this concept called Happy Notes.
I have 2 questions.
Yeah.
So number 1 is, would you find yourself struggling if you didn't do the things that the number 3 on the list, the things that you said, I really want to do these things?
No, I mean, I can't say that I would always like crush that list, but I also set myself up for success with that list. It wasn't meant to be these like lofty goals. It was meant to be like, like don't push the snooze button or like take a long shower. Like they were things to do for yourself. And even to this day, like, I mean, I do my Happy Notes. I actually recently was listening to another like course that talked about doing it every single day. I would say I probably do mine once a week. I like dive really deep and do my Happy Notes for like the whole week. But lately I've been trying to prioritize it almost every day because they say this was a stat that like blew my mind. You are 42% more likely to accomplish your goals if you write them down. 42%. Like that's
wild.
Crazy. Just to write it down. Like that's not like go outside and like get to work. That is literally just putting pen to paper and writing down your goals.
Yeah.
You are almost double as likely to like do it.
It's almost like cementing it into stone.
Right.
Yes. Like
it's a manifestation in its own right.
Yes.
Okay. Second question is, where is the balance? And I'm assuming you're Italian too. So as 3 Italian women, where is the balance between happiness and feeling like you're being mistreated if there are people in your life, maybe, I mean, I'm not saying like a toxic relationship, like maybe extended family or friends in a friend group or something like that who are being mean to you? Where is the line between doormat and happy where you're like, okay, I'm just going to push through this and these people are in my life?
I feel like you need to find the positive in the people that are in your life. And I know sometimes with family, we don't have the option to be like, oh, they're not bringing anything positive, like cut them out.
Yeah.
But like, there's something positive there. And I feel like, especially with family, like even if that's it, if it's just that it is family and they raised a person that you love, like, that may be very surface level and like, hopefully there's a little more depth to it. But I find that especially when it comes to family, I feel really blessed because I have a wonderful extended family but I know not everybody has that level. I know there's a lot of stress and tension.
Families bring a lot of dynamics.
Yes, certainly. But I think that you need to, for the sake of your own well-being and for your family and for your kids and for your husband, whatever that family member is that's like maybe bringing in that toxicity in your world, I think you just need to kind of accept that this is a reality, that, you can't dump this person at the door, and try to find the positive and just let that be your focus.
Yeah.
Sometimes there is power and it takes a while, but just to say like, I'm letting that go. And I've had to do this with a couple family members, honestly, where we've gone to family gatherings. I knew they were going to be there. And I'm like, you know what? I can't spend today being upset about the way that I know they're going to behave because they've shown it to me a million times before.
Right.
So let's just tell myself that that's par for the course. We know that's the things that they're going to say that are going to hurt me, the things that they're going to do that are going to hurt me. And I'm just going to let it roll because I can't change them and their behavior because I've put the effort in and I've tried. But going back to what you said in the beginning, Linz, that like your reaction to it is really the key of it. And to say, I'm no longer going to let this affect me. We know what they're going to do. But
so what happened?
I've felt a lot better.
Yeah.
I really have. I mean, it's almost like some relationships I've had to just say, like, I'm not investing in this anymore because this is what, you know, and it's sad. And there are certainly times I still go back and I'm like, I wish that things were different. And it's really sucks that it's come to this point. But also, like, I am protecting myself. I am protecting my kids.
You're
I am protecting.
tougher than me, though. I'm a perpetual people pleaser, and I love everyone to like get along. So I can talk a big game, but I have a breaking point.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, I think in you bringing it back to like that stat, it really is finding your response to the situation that feels natural, comfortable, and that you can move past it. You know, like maybe it may be silly, but like sometimes with family and like just in life, I find like it doesn't have to always just be an intense conversation. Like go play a game, just like go find like an activity, especially with kids. Like I know, Casey, you just had you have a baby now. Like I feel like that changes everything because there's such a common love interest that like it doesn't even matter. Like you have something that diffuses the situation because you recognize that for your, you know, child, this person is a pinnacle person in their life, you know?
But on the flip side of that can also bring apart like some problems because it's one thing, like in my experience, I've had to say like, it's one thing for you to disrespect me. It's another thing for you to disrespect my child.
Oh yeah.
And not to show love or not to care about them or not to whatever, you know? So like that has brought in like this togetherness, but also has brought opportunity for me to get even more upset.
Yeah.
But yeah, and you know, I don't want to present this as a misconception. Like I'm not saying it's perfect. There are definitely times where, you know, I'm thinking of one family member in specific. There are definitely times where like I'll be at a family gathering and they can say or not say something and I will sit and analyze it for like a day after. But like I think that day is a lot better than the 2 weeks that it might have been before, you know? So it's never fully out of your system because it is still family and it is still somebody that you love. And it is this dynamic that you're always going to wish were different.
Right.
But by changing your reaction to it, you can lessen the amount of time that you're basically wasting your energy on it.
Well, you're creating your own reality is the short 100%. Answer, which is easier said than done. But that's what you're doing.
But I will say, like writing it down and kind of brainwashing yourself. I know that's like, sounds like a negative way of putting it, but writing these things down, putting pen to paper to just say like, you know, I'm assuming like for a lot of family things, like, you know, they're coming. So like, just focus on something positive or let that be your like goal for that week is like, I'm not, you know, like I'm going, when something happens that triggers me, I'm going to do this instead. Or like, maybe you just leave the room and you get a, you know, breath of fresh air, or you bring a game or again, like you kind of set yourself up for success to be armed with the things you need to diffuse the reaction that could trigger you in a negative way.
When you're talking about writing it down, walk me through that. Like, are we writing it down and literally leaving it at that and closing the book and then like repeating again tomorrow? And then eventually the repetition of it is like you really start to believe yourself. Like we talked in a past episode about routines and how in some of these apps that help you set habits in your life. Some of them is like put a Post-it note on your mirror. I think, in case you were saying your sister does, or like talk to yourself and say something positive to yourself each morning. So is it like that? Or do you write it down and almost like meditate on it and really talk to yourself about it? Do you bring it up to yourself throughout the day? Like what's your pattern with that?
I would love to say that I like sit in this like beautiful quiet space with my coffee
crossed
that
birds are chirping.
Palo Santo burning.
Right, with my coffee that stays hot and like all the things.
They do have mugs now that keep your coffee hot. The Ember mugs.
Ember mug, it's my
nice.
favorite thing ever. For over an hour, it'll keep it
all right,
hot,
so you can't complain because your coffee's hot.
Yeah, but even that, but that's how long sometimes it still sits that it isn't hot anymore.
It's like battery dead.
But I think if I get a moment in time, like sometimes on a weekend where the kids are napping and my husband's at work or doing whatever, I have a moment, I really like soak it in and I'll look back at my notes from the week and like kind of take that moment to myself. But that's few and far between. I think it's kind of like, just get it, like do it, like the actual act of doing it. And it doesn't need to be this like picturesque moment of journaling where like you have a clear head. Right. To me, the whole concept of happy notes is that it's this digestible, snackable thing that you could do every single day. It's not this like, oh man, I have to do this. And this is another thing to add to my routine. Like I don't need another thing to remember, Yeah. The whole idea is that it's in the notebook that you're like doing whatever other work you're doing. And it's just, you flip in the back, something positive happened, you write it down. Like it literally takes less than 15 seconds.
That's so true. What you just said, like even doing it itself is like a positive thing that you have to say to yourself. Like, wow, look what I did. I stuck to it. Yes. Like, that's even in itself something to be nice to yourself about.
Yes. I used
look
to
at that little trick. I have mind blown right there.
I used to have all these beautiful journals and I am like, I just love paper products in general and books and beautiful journals.
Stationery and stuff.
Yeah, I'm just love that stuff in general. But I would find, I had this beautiful journal and it was so prompted. And, I felt like in order for me to write and put pen to this like gorgeous page, like I would need to have this like perfect setup and this clear mind to be able to write these words of wisdom to myself that I'd look back on and be like, oh man, like light bulb. It's like, that's great if your brain and space allow you for that sometimes. But the whole point of my happy notes, which it is a beautiful notebook that I hope makes people smile when they look at it and stuff. It's all designed to just be calming and, kind of earthy. However, the idea is just that like, it's okay. You can scribble, you can jot, it's just get pen to paper and put it down, because the repetition, the same way at like physical fitness, it doesn't matter if you skip to the gym singing your favorite song because you're so excited, or you just get outside, put your sneakers on and go run around.
Here it is.
Aw. Yeah, there they are.
The happy notes. Yeah, we'll definitely link to her happy notes in the website or in the show notes.
Wait, I have one more thing that we need to link. So if the universe is not talking to us, I looked it up. Yale, The Science of Well-Being, 19 languages available. Enrollment starts today, and there are 4.6 million people enrolled in this course. 19 hours to complete, flexible schedule, gratitude, happiness, meditation, and savoring.
Yeah. It's really, I can't say the actual like way they present the information is riveting. It's a lecture kind of, but the statistics and what they dive into about, and honestly, I didn't even know when I was creating this brand, I honestly just was like, wanted to arm myself with the knowledge of like why this was working for me. Like I was just so curious. I was like, this really is working. Like, so I just got so into your well-being and the science of being happy and how that all works. So that's how I landed on this. And it was as if like it was already in the cards that this was meant to come to life. Like my little brand, because it was as if she was doing like an advertisement for me. I mean, she talked so much about the power of like writing it down, and it doesn't have to be these long form journal entries. It's like write down one thing that made you smile, write down one thing you're excited for that's coming up, and write down something that you want to get like accomplished.
That's the other thing. So that's a good point. And tell me if you learned anything about this. And I find myself doing this a lot. I have so many things that we have with our family or with our friends on the calendar that I'm looking forward to. And then it comes and goes like this. And I look back and I'm like, was I even present for any of that? Like, yeah, where was my headspace? Like, did I enjoy it? Like, was I worried about other things? So is there anything that you can shed light on or shed light into? How do I say this? Can you shed any light onto how to savor holidays or moments, or like Asher's first birthday? I'm sure your hair was on fire. I'm sure it was unbelievable, but you're prepping and everyone's there. And is the food hot? And is he crying? Does he have a poop? Like there's 100 different things. So how do you slow it down?
I feel like that is a huge part of happy notes. And it doesn't need to be slowed down again, where you have like 2 hours at night where you're just going to like write how you felt that day, which is amazing. If you can do that, or if you even get 10 minutes to be able to like truly write like, you know, your reflection of the event, that's phenomenal. But to me, moments of joy, that first like prompt, if you will, is so like, I love that, because yes, there are moments and things on the calendar that kind of, you already know it's going to be a moment of joy, because like it's set up to be that. It's a birthday party, it's a celebration, it's something that you're already looking forward to. To me, one of the most fascinating things is the unexpected. It's the random, like you went out for a walk to get the mail, you ended up bumping into a neighbor who knew your friend from back home, and all of a sudden this like little task that was certainly not something you would have thought as like at a happy note turned into like a human connection with roots, and like it made you smile. And to me, apart from like, you probably wouldn't think to write something like that down, but when you're doing this practice daily, or sometimes even weekly, you know, not every day is filled with like milestone moments. So sometimes that's what ends up going in your notebook, is like spontaneous run-in, or, you know, a quick, you know, a quick lunch, or pushing the snooze button. And the cool part to me is that you like, it's in my notebook that I work in. So every now and then I'm like flipping back and I like look at something. I'm like, oh my God, yeah, I would have never thought to like remember that thing that happened. And all of a sudden this little spontaneous thing that happened like 3 weeks ago, which made me smile, now is resurfacing a happy dopamine kick because I got to see it again. It's like you do go back. You know, it's really, it fuels itself.
I love that your notebooks are really making you look at life on this like micro level. Because as you said, if you're like, name something happy that happened in the last month, you're like, I don't know, I like did something, and you like may struggle to find something that really gave you pure joy and pure happiness over the last month, because as Kay said, you like forget everything, or time moves quickly or whatever. But in forcing yourself to sit down and look at it each day, those moments become more abundant, and you can look back and be like, okay, there was a lot more to be happy about than I thought. Or also like for you to pick it out for the month or for the week or for the year, I think you think it has to be so much grander than it actually does have to be.
This is really like ironic, because I just opened to a random page. It just so happens this was a page from when we had lunch like a couple weeks ago. So you're in here, but I just want to read to you, like this was from like 2 weeks ago. I'm just going to read you a few things that were in here just for the purpose of like this, what I was doing like, you know, weekly. So it doesn't have to be like life altering like moments, but literally in here, lunch date with Gianna at First Watch, world bakery date with Nikki, which is my husband, music class with Bosco, amazing chopped salad. Like I literally, and I'm not even kidding you, I made like the Jennifer Aniston chopped salad. I just got psyched. I like went and got like the 5 groceries that I needed, which I don't have time to go to the grocery store regularly, but like I got so excited for the salad and it was amazing. And like, that's such a silly thing. I wouldn't even think to, but I wrote it down, and it's cute.
That's cute.
But like, that's how like little it has to be. It doesn't have to be like your wedding day. You know, there are so many, your life is made up of so many like little moments that make you smile. So my whole concept is honestly trying to help you cherish those little moments. That is what life is worth living. I mean, obviously we all hope that there's a lot of beautiful, grandiose things that we can celebrate in life, but the day to day, it's like, those are the little things that continue. And if you focus on them, you start to see that there are so many little moments that make you happy in your day, in your life. There's so many beautiful things to live for. And again, I feel like it's just this mental wellness and like training yourself to focus on that stuff, write it down so that you see it. Like you were talking about progress, Gianna, like maybe you don't see the progress in the way of like a 6-pack, but you look back and you
oh my God,
smile.
I don't even want to hear that, because I saw pictures and videos of this girl from her most recent trip, and I was like fire texting her, like, tell me what you're eating. Tell me everything you're putting in your mouth. You look amazing.
Thank you. It's been a journey that I've talked about here on the podcast, but you know, the gluten-free and the dairy-free and just getting more protein has really helped me. And just getting a year out from having a baby certainly helped as well. Linz, thanks for sharing all that about the happiness course. We will link to the course. We will link to Happy Notes. Please do go check that out. And I want to share like how important and how amazing it is that Lindsay has taken this on to have this whole other company with Happy Notes, because that's not her main job. That's like a little side gig, in addition to having a full-time career, in addition to being a beauty editor and freelancing, and in addition to having 2 beautiful kids, Bosco and Rafi. So tell us a little bit about your life as a mom.
Yeah, so I have a 2.5-year-old, and Bosco is just over 1 now. And I mean, yeah, like life as a mom is crazy, but it's the best thing ever. I feel really blessed, and like mothering has come pretty natural to me, but I'll be the first to say my entry into motherhood was certainly not traditional. My first son was 2 months early. So I don't know if that desensitized me to a lot of things, but you know, I had Raphael at 31 weeks. So, I didn't need, I mean, people talk, which God bless if people are able to do this and can, but like talk about this perfectly packed hospital bag and like blowouts and like I went to the hospital with a towel between my legs and my license, and that was it. Like you know, like there was no, it wasn't even like I didn't even have time to think about what, like, it just happened. You know,
I mean, at that point, the nursery's not even done with your first. I mean,
nursery. I had actually just gotten back from New Jersey. My husband and I were in New Jersey for 2 weeks for his
because you could
wedding.
still fly then. You're still a free range chicken at that point.
And we got back, and I remember thinking like, oh, amazing. I had my baby shower in New Jersey, and everyone had sent their stuff to Florida. So we get back, and there's like 5 trillion boxes.
Oh my God.
Like, okay, amazing. I have 2 months. Nesting begins.
Yeah.
Literally 2 mornings later, I'm in the hospital. And they actually told me I was going to be in like kind of hospital bed, like bed bound for like a week to 2 weeks. So they were going to try and keep the baby cooking for longer. And honestly, like both my sons are amazing, but I'm so grateful because he was like, Mom, I'm not making you a prisoner. I got this. I can do this.
I'm ready.
So he came like the next morning, honestly, pretty swiftly. And he spent a month in the NICU. And again, that just, you know, it was just I don't know. I honestly, even my second son, he was a little further along, but he also was a preemie and was in the NICU. And I feel like I just, again, was desensitized to like what the beginning of motherhood was. Like I was forced to just like take deep breaths and like find peace, and that my little like munchkin was just in the right place. And I was so grateful for there to be.
But that's another level of stress and mom guilt is I'm not there. Maybe he's awake. Like I'm a terrible mother. Like I'm at home. I should be at the hospital all day.
I mean, I feel really lucky that I guess we were able to do this, but I mean, I spend a lot, especially for your first, like, I don't want to say we had nothing else to do. I was planning obviously on being home with the baby for the beginning. So we were really lucky. We lived less than like 8 minutes from the hospital. So we spent an extreme amount of time there. My husband took a month off of work, and you know, we almost got gifted some really special time where I didn't have a brand new baby at home, you know, like we were in and out of the hospital, and it was an emotional roller coaster for sure. But like I thankfully was feeling physically good. And we were able to kind of like go out and celebrate and like live this like still non-kid life, because our child was in such amazing care. Right. And in the beginning too, in the NICU, they can't come out of their like cubicle or their like little incubator, because they have to like regulate their temperature. So like there were a lot of I mean, we spent a lot of time there, don't get me wrong, but
you're going home and you're going to get sleep, which is nice, which is really nice for you, because your emotional, the tax and the toll your emotional stress is taking on you is, I'm sure, far greater than loss of sleep that everybody else goes through.
So incredible. What a testament to you and your happiness and how you're weaving that into your life, because I think there are probably some women who look at that as the worst time of their life, and you have totally put a spin on how that could be perceived.
Thank you. Honestly, I was there every day with my Happy Notes book, just like celebrating his little wins and, you know, getting off different tubes. And I mean, some days obviously way harder than others. And interestingly, when my second son was born, we were thankfully only in the NICU for a week, but that was honestly way more challenging because I had another child at home. So I couldn't just
But your 2 boys, see, this is where there's a line in the sand. Yes, we exalt you for seeing the positive in that, in both of your babies being being premature. But there is a very fine line between seeing the positive and then it goes to people victimizing themselves. It was so horrible. It was this. You have no idea.
Yeah.
You could never imagine. You could never understand. Like, that is where I think it takes a dangerous turn. And then you need to like a psychologist on here for that kind of stuff.
For sure. For sure. I will admit, I think my 50% DNA wise is probably like
Topped
on the higher end. Yeah. So I feel really grateful
Your tank
for that.
is full.
Yeah, I do feel really grateful for that. However, I will be the first to say, like, I put in the work. So like the other 40%, like I do the work.
You work at it.
Right. Like I don't necessarily go to the gym. I wish I had more time to do that. But like my mental.
I have a hack for you.
Tell me.
Go and buy a walking pad. It slips right under your bed. They're like $300. Like you don't want a whole treadmill. And then like when the babies are asleep, just walk on your walking pad, put on Netflix. I was really good at it for a while. I haven't done it for a while, but it's
okay.
Yeah.
I love it. I love that. But yeah, I feel like with my mental well-being, I put in the work. And even in the NICU, I mean, again, I'm not going to sit here and tell you I didn't have like emotional breakdowns and it wasn't really hard, but I feel like there are such like the nurses in the NICU are just
everyone says that
and actual angels.
Yeah.
I almost feel like I miss my calling because I wish I could be that person for somebody.
Yeah.
Like it's just an amazing place. And I just think to myself, like when you see a baby like that is in the NICU, it's like, you are so grateful that he would not have been safe at home. Like I was so grateful that is where he was. It pained me obviously that I couldn't be snuggling on my couch with him and like doing all the things that I see like, you know, like a normal new mom be doing with their child.
On social media.
Correct. However, I will say, and I was so excited because I was able to pay it forward after the fact, but there was a close girlfriend of mine from high school who had preemie babies beforehand, and she was such a resource. And she sent me a whole box from her preemie baby of like all just preemie clothes are honestly really hard to find, but she had sent me all of her son's like preemie clothes.
That's so sweet.
And interestingly, when my second son was born, we were in the NICU for only a week, but the family next to us, how crazy is this? It was like me 2 years prior. She was here in Florida visiting family, so she didn't live here. Her husband was not here, and she went into labor at 31 weeks.
Oh, I just got chills all over.
I know. So the walls in the NICU are really thin. It's just like a sheet. And I felt like I just like was overhearing because I'm just sitting there.
You're like, yoo-hoo.
I literally knocked on her door. I was like, I showed her a picture of my son. I was like, I just need you to know, this is my 31 weeker. I know it's so hard to see that like this can happen for you, but like, I promise like you will like be, And like, we're still in touch these days, like
That's
to
cool.
this day. And yeah, it was really, really beautiful. And she
Lindsay.
just texted me. I know.
Some waterworks going on over here.
But she texted me because her son was born on my second son's birthday.
Oh,
so
cute.
She texted me on their birthday. She's like, we still talk about you. I actually think I gave her a notebook. I gave her like a whole bunch of beauty products and a notebook. And I was like,
That's
this
so
really
fun.
helped me. And yeah, we are like bonded forever. But I don't know. It kind of like brings you back to like what's important, you know,
totally.
I appreciate there's a lot of elements and facets of life and like social media and business and like marketing. I mean, like there's a lot of elements there that are beautiful that add entertainment and like content and just connection, even just like this in our life. But then there's just like the raw human stuff that happens where like there's no frills and it's just like beautiful and sad and emotional and like all the things wrapped up in one, but like
the human experience. It's the human
life.
Experience. It's like when you get those things that really bring it home of what we are here for.
Yes.
That make it even more emotional and more powerful.
Yeah. I mean, you guys are moms, like, especially when you have a newborn, like when newborn is upset and touches mommy, like, and they just immediately like, like, do you just like, that is just crazy to me. It's like, you are home, like you are their home.
Which is hard because we're in the midst of separation anxiety. I was texting Gianna last night. I was supposed to find our promos for our episode next week. And I was like, I've literally been in the rocking chair in Jack's room for 3 hours. I just, mommy.
Like, have you ever known a love like that? Like, there's no love like that.
I do, but then I was like, I really want to go to bed.
Yeah, no, I know. I mean, it doesn't come without its challenges.
No, but
sure.
they're the best.
Moms are just the most amazing people ever. When my first son was born, I had this like rare opportunity where he was like under, 24/7 watch, and my husband and I were able to like go out to dinner and celebrate. And that first week especially, your hormones are just like, woo.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we went to like pizza, and I remember I just like saw mom with her like child at dinner, and I was like, I'm sorry, I just can't. Like, you're amazing. Like, I just saw moms, and I was like losing it. I just wanted to go hug everybody, being like, how did you do this? This is like just so insane.
I do that now, like when I see pregnant women.
Yeah.
I feel like having been through the experience, I am just like, I remember we were at a party, and 2 of our friends are pregnant, and I was just like, I think drunk probably, and looked at Mark, and I'm like, but just like, look at how beautiful they are. Like, look at what women can do. Isn't this crazy? She's growing a human. Like, it is.
I loved being pregnant.
Yeah, me too.
Like, loved it.
Me too. It is so, it's wild.
But Gianna had extreme circumstances that robbed you of that, and you could choose to be like,
still would get pregnant again in a second.
Right.
And that's the crazy part, because I loved having life inside of me. I loved building that. I loved just being able to get that experience. And that's, we've had episodes on miscarriage and IVF, and my heart just absolutely breaks for a woman that isn't able to experience that. And it's almost like if Mark had, like, if men could get pregnant too, like, I would want him to, because I want him to be able to see, like, the love that he has for our kids. First of all, I don't think he would emotionally be able to make it through. I think that man would cry the entire pregnancy. But
men don't have the like juju to do it, I feel like.
Yeah. You guys are going to get in trouble because men can have babies now.
Oh, excuse me.
Excuse me.
Excuse us. Yes.
I'm not woke enough.
So moving on to beauty stuff. We love moms. Skirt, but moms need some help in the beauty section sometimes, because this is not al natural. There needs to be some foundation on this to cover up the bags.
There are more lines. The lines get deeper, so you can't use the same product. Like the Tarte Shape Tape, cannot use that anymore, because it looks
Shape
like
tape.
I have.
What's that?
It was like everyone used it. It was like what you, it was a concealer, and you would make it like super white, and you'd put white powder on top of it. And like, that's what everyone used for like 10 years. And people still use it, but I have such deep lines under my eyes now that it just looks like riverbeds under my eyeballs. Yeah. Cakey riverbeds.
I mean, definitely as you get older, I feel like your skin changes. Pregnancy brings obviously a lot of like hormone changes. My biggest like takeaway, I feel like, in the beauty world as a mom, is just like, find the things that make you feel good and that are easy and simple, and like, don't overthink it. Like, to me,
but that's a daunting task to go find it.
I can help you.
Yeah.
I'll give you a few of my faves. But again, this is what works for me. It doesn't necessarily work for everybody, but I have found like truly the 30 to 60 second like thing to do for myself every morning that makes me go from feeling like oh my God, I look like I like am exhausted, I didn't get any sleep, to like, okay, all right, at least I look a little bit polished, I put myself together. Yeah, like I put on lip gloss, whatever. And it doesn't maybe sound also earth shattering to do that, but I swear, the same way that like putting pen to paper and writing something down makes impact, put it on. Put on if it's whatever it is that makes you happy. If it's the foundation, if it's the mascara, like even when people say like, oh, if you wear makeup to the gym, like if it makes you feel good to like put something on, do it. Like, don't worry about what everyone else thinks. Like if that brings you a smile, go for it.
You're like, I'm at the gym. I could be in a pink tutu right now with like a headdress on. I'm here.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. So some of my favorites, I don't know. I feel like some of these brands I feel like are so like namesake in my world, but then people don't really know about them yet. So Caloray it's a brand you can get at a Sephora. And I think I actually have one thing in my pocket so you can see the brand.
In my pocket, she just whips it out.
I do. Which I normally never have a lip gloss in my pocket.
That's cute packaging.
So that's actually all the name is like inspired by like California, like relaxed, like surfer girl vibe kind of.
Oh, cute.
However, their complexion products specifically are my favorite. They have this like liquid tint and a primer that is like a plumping primer. It's one of those things like, 2 seconds. You don't have to be precise. Like quick primer, and I swear it like smooths and gives you like a little bit of a filtered like look.
That's all you need. Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
And I mean, 2 seconds. Like I'm not talking about a big routine here. You know,
Right.
I only get 2 seconds to myself in the morning anyway. So those are two things that I try and pretty much just apply daily. They're super hydrating.
That was going to be my question, because I feel like when I do that stuff, my skin is like shriveled by the end of the day. Because you're wearing it from 6 a.m. until probably 8 at night. Like it's not coming off until the babies are sleeping.
No. No, this, I mean, Calorie in general, again, they're like hydrating, like clean products. And I've never had a problem with that. I am a big fan. I feel like it gives you that like dewy, healthy look. I will say though, being in Florida, my skin is like a lot more hydrated just in general. So you may have to like add on a layer of moisture if you're in the Northeast potentially and in the winter. But big fans of those.
You know what I used in Boston in the winter was the Drunk Elephant drops in my lotion.
People love Drunk Elephant. Yeah.
I love it's like the tan drops. It's like a white bottle with a brown lid. And I liked that. This is a weird question. When you have more stuff to hide, does shimmer help? I find myself using a lot more like shimmery stuff because I feel like it's very distracting.
Honestly, I think like you don't want to put anything shimmery on the thing that you want or trying to like cover up. To be honest, I feel like people get very intimidated by the whole contour highlight thing.
Yes.
And I wish I had them in front of me to like show you.
Because now these little girls are telling us we're supposed to put blush up here. That's where the bronzer is supposed to go. Yeah. The blush isn't supposed to go here.
Yeah, I feel like growing up, like bronzer goes everywhere.
Goes everywhere.
Well, especially since you're from Jersey, it goes everywhere.
And you're like, what's blush?
Yeah,
you mean bronzer?
But in general, I'm like a big fan of the sticks, like the Fenty beauty sticks. There's the Merit flush bombs, but it's so simple. Like I don't know why people make this so complicated. It's no joke. It's 6 lines when you're like,
okay, but what do you blend with? Are you a brush girl? Are you a finger girl?
I'm a brush girl, but you have to, and I will be the first to say, I'm not going to sit here and tell you I clean my brushes as often as I should, but and
they're in like a dark bag under the sink for like 7 days.
I just happen to like, I feel it feels a little more like pampering to me using a brush, and I don't like I don't like makeup getting on my like fingers, and I feel like I touch. I don't know. I am a brush person, but it doesn't mean that you need to use a brush. But I would get like a kind of like densely packed, like brush, I guess, like a blending brush where it's like densely packed bristles or whatever that you can like buff. Yeah. But truly, like 2 lines, a line up here, line down the nose, and it's so simple. It's like you make your like cheekbones, down your nose, forehead, and chin with a darker color, and then literally just on the insides of those, put the lighter color and blend away. And you seriously will, it takes 15 seconds.
45 seconds.
Yeah, truly. And I feel like also just gives you like a little definition in your face. You don't just have this like blanket cast. So in shimmering for that, I'm just a big shimmer, like inner corners of your eye, brighten your pupils a little bit. And then like high points of your face would be for me for shimmer.
Mm-hmm. I do a little bit at the tip of the nose. I don't have it on today, but like it almost. I almost
do here, and here.
Yeah,
She's pointing to her nose, her upper lip, and at her chin.
Yeah.
Like
just to kind of like accentuate
bow and that other.
Yeah.
But somehow I feel like these things are like become intimidating.
For do you remember where we used to put like straight white underneath our eyebrow? Like it was like the whitest of white. Like it wasn't shimmer. It was like, oh my God. Like there were some scary times back in college.
2016 was a rough time for makeup, I'd say.
Certainly.
And that was some of those harsher looks you're talking about.
I think it started in like 2011 because I had this one palette. It was like a brown and then a white. And that was like, my God.
It was also like the Naked palette was everything.
I think mine was an It Cosmetics like sculpting palette. And there were 6 colors.
Yeah. Sounds right.
What do you like for hair?
So I mean.
Are the Utah curls out? The Utah waves.
I'm an au natural wave. I'm a curly girl. So I don't like having sticky stuff in my hair. So it's hard because I like don't like to use the products that make your curls stay because I don't like the way they make my hair feel because I like touch my hair throughout the day. And as soon as you have product in it and then you like touch it, it just doesn't look good anymore. So I'm going to be the first to admit, I'm a big headband and like let it do its thing. Cause
especially in Florida, you're running uphill down here.
Exactly. But my go-to favorite thing ever for hair is the paddle brush, the like heated paddle brushes. So yes. So especially I can't, again, a lot of beauty products in general, you have to take like from the person who's recommending them. Like for me, I have like long, wavy, kind of curly hair.
Right.
Like it's the perfect thing. If you have like really thin, super, super tight curls, it might not work for you. You may need something like a little more aggressive to like, if you want something straight. But for me, if you have a little bit of a wave and you want to smooth things out, the heated paddle brush is amazing. And GHD in general, I don't know if you know their brand.
It's great. I have their straighteners. Yeah.
Yes. So one thing I love about them is this was some like I used to work at Allure, and I remember doing like a research story on this like a long time ago, but their heat only goes up to 365 degrees, or like that's what they consider like the premium heat to not damage your hair, but it's enough to actually style it and like, break the,
not like the irons that would like,
burn
and
exactly.
dry your hair.
Steam coming off of it. Yeah.
Smoke.
So I love the paddle brush because it feels a little less aggressive than like sandwiching your hair between two hot plates.
Yeah.
And no matter what you use, whether you use a flat iron, whatever, I always keep it to 365 or something very close to that.
Okay.
You don't need to crank it. You do not need to crank it, and always use some type of like a heat protectant if you can. Amika has a great one. I love that brand.
I like that brand. Wait, question though about sticking with the top of your head. What do you have on? I see all like the scalp scrubs now about how like if the soil isn't good, you're not going to grow anything, like that whole mentality. So what do you have on scalp scrubs? And like right now I'm oiling my hair. I don't know. That's why I look so greasy, but I have like almond oil in my hair because I need more hair.
I feel like
Gianna, this is not for Gianna.
I know.
Gianna
No, I have some bald spots up here as well.
God. Okay. So I don't even know how we never got to this at some point, Gianna, but I did a whole like 9-month-long research story once on this company called Harklinikin, and they are all about like hair loss and scalp health and all the things. And I will be the first. It's HARK, maybe KKILININ.
Okay, it's like Mississippi of hair.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's like 3 letters.
So I think it's from I want to say like Scandinavia, possibly. Okay. I forget where it's from.
Anywhere other than the United States, they know what they're doing with beauty stuff.
Oh my God. So they have like a whole hair clinic, and they opened one in New York like several years ago, but it was all about like hair loss and hair regrowth and all these things. So I show up there one day because there was like an editor event, and I was thinking, I mean, it's not like I never like thought that I had like hair problems. I've been through the ringer. I guess everyone has, but I've been through the ringer with my hair. Like I've done hair extensions, I've done like treatments, all the things. Anyway, I get there and I was thinking like my hair's pretty thick. Like I never really thought I had like a hair loss problem. And the guy like does a thing on me, looks at my scalp. He's like, you're about 60% thinning. I was like, what?
Oh my God.
So I went down the rabbit hole and I went on his regimen and followed it. I mean, I did I've never been so aggressive with like a research story ever. Like I was very specific. The results are insane. I have to send you the
Do you still do it?
I don't, because I'm not, and I can't say it was hard because like fighting cancer.
What did it entail?
So there was a serum that you had to wash your hair at least like every other day with like these products. But the real kicker was that there was this like scalp serum that you had to apply with this like little syringe to your scalp twice a day and massage it in. And it didn't necessarily leave your hair like feeling great. You kind of had this like, I mean, you could comb it through, but like there was, it didn't leave you. It wasn't like it was phenomenal, but
it's not like you just got a blowout and your hair is like bouncing all over the place.
Right.
Yeah.
So you had to leave it on and then you rinsed it out, I think 8 hours later. So you could either do it in the morning and then wash later, or at night and then wash in the morning, something like that. But oh my God, I have to send you the results, but it was phenomenal. But interestingly, prior to this whole thing that I did, I was a big dry shampoo girl. I actually wrote many articles in my day about how I only wash my hair once a week and that it looked good.
Well, that was a trend. Everyone was saying, oh, if you push it, you'll train your scalp and it'll get less greasy and you actually shouldn't wash your hair for 2 weeks at a time.
Yes. So I was that girl. I wrote articles at Allure magazine about how I wash my hair once a week and like people give me compliments on the 7th day type of thing. Then I take this thing and the guy, it made so much sense. I'll never forget him being like, so why right here, this line, your scalp line, why right here do you treat this like your face? And like, you would never go 7 days without washing your face and like cleansing and like you do all these things to your face. But then like right here, it's the same skin. It's literally just an extension of your face. But this, all of a sudden you're like piling product on and you're not washing it and you treat it so differently. And like, even him just saying that, I was like, huh. Yeah. You're right. So their whole thing, sorry if I'm like giving this long-winded answer, but this was always fascinating to me. So his whole thing is like, your hair does go through its 7-year life cycle on average. And even though I didn't have like bald spots on my head per se, the hairs that were growing, say like this is like a deep-rooted like virgin hair or whatever. 7 years later, this hair falls out and there's a new hair that grows back in its place, except that hair is not as deeply rooted anymore and it's thinner. So see that over a couple different life cycles and it keeps getting thinner and thinner and thinner and then eventually maybe doesn't come back. But multiply that over your whole head. Imagine if every single strand on your head isn't at its like fullest potential because it's coming back at like a lesser density than the hair before it. And again, like then that's thinning. Even though you didn't lose the hair,
So how do you get them to be more deeply rooted without buying his serum?
I mean, I am just a big proponent for scalp health. And like, I can't say
Do you have favorite products?
I honestly really loved his stuff. Even if you don't do the serum, because like it's a custom serum and it was a commitment. And
well, that's what I do like that it's custom because I follow a lot of hair girls and they're like, this is what I use. And then I've tried to use it and it doesn't work for me. My hair is different.
I really love Briogeo from that's another like clean Sephora brand, but they have a great like scalp stimulator. Like I think anything that like stimulates your scalp, cleanses your scalp. I mean, even if you're just using regular shampoo, like give yourself a massage on your scalp. Like, stimulate the follicles, give yourself some like rejuvenation there.
So
while
where do you
I'm writing in my happy journal with my teeth.
Exactly.
Where do you stand on dry shampoo and how often you wash your hair?
I don't use dry shampoo anymore.
Yeah.
If anything, I'll use a dry conditioner. I don't know why. To be honest, it's just that the name feels more hydrating than dry shampoo. But it's not even from like I know so much about it. I just really don't use it anymore. I don't even have them in my house. I also had, I didn't even know, but like I did have some like dryness on my scalp, and within 1 second, this guy was like, "Oh, you have this." Not even sounding gross, but I had some like bacterial imbalance of my scalp and I had to go on this other thing before I could even start his treatment program. But like it cleared up like everything he told me to do.
I'm calling him.
Crazy.
Yeah, seriously, we got to get him on.
Honestly, I have to send you guys the link to the article that I did.
He's not a mom. He's going to be our first not mom on this show.
No, the before and afters are crazy. And I will say like I committed like a big part of my life to this, but you could see noticeable differences. It was pretty wild. But I just think so I'm not a big dry shampoo person, but again, I totally appreciate that for especially moms. Like I wash my hair probably every 3rd day.
Okay. Yeah. Doable.
I feel like I'm like 4 at this point. I could be better.
Yeah. It's just like, I don't know. It's just such like showering is just like a chore these days.
I know. We talked about it on the routines episode.
I know. So that's mostly it. It's just like by the time I have a minute to shower, it's like, I don't think that's where I want to spend.
You know what's a really annoying topic? And I know we have to wrap this up, but the most annoying is the deodorants, the natural deodorants, finding ones that work. Because it's so easy for me to just reach for Eric's Degree that lasts for like 7 days.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's the thing. I don't know. I go back and forth on this because you've heard so many studies and you hear people say and like that the link to breast cancer is just like it's evident. It's there. So I was shopping at a health food store probably a few months ago and I ran into the deodorant section. And I was like, you know what? let me try it. Let's see how this goes for me. And it's like a beautiful lavender smell.
Oh, yeah.
Was it Schmidt?
It's so aspirational.
No, it was but it was another guy's name.
Tom's.
Yes.
Tom's.
Oh, Tom's, yeah.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't say that I like smelled bad, that there was like a BO, but it's just, I've been using the same, what's it called? Like Degree deodorant for a decade.
I've used men's deodorant for probably 20 years because I think it works. I hate baby powder, powdery smelling women's deodorant.
I just do,
Disgusting.
it's called Completely Clean.
Disgusting.
That's it. It's just a fresh smell.
Yeah.
And now all of a sudden I have this like other lavendery smell. And again, it didn't like smell bad, but I was like, I felt like I quote unquote smelled.
Yeah.
But I'm like, am I just smelling the deodorant?
Different.
And I'm because I'm picking up something different. Whereas like literally my nose got so used to the other one that I used for 10 years. So now I kind of like alternate just for the sake.
But that's also where you detox, right? Like if you're eating Chick-fil-A every day for a week, like you're going to smell, I think that's true. Like you're going to smell worse.
You're a giant machine that, like your skin and your body and your hair, like it all, it's all connected. Like when what you eat, how you sleep, what you drink, like, you're kind of like a living machine that it shows itself, reveals itself in all different ways. I am probably not the best person to like advise on like the deodorant world. I am a Dove like spray deodorant girl for life.
The Dove spray packs a punch. That's
works.
A good one. That's a good one. They always have that in the bathrooms at weddings and proms because like it's not cross contamination. So they have like the tampons and then like the Dove spray, and you're like, yeah, baby.
I
love Dove spray.
I've dabbled in like the natural deodorant world. I feel like I just smell like and then it's like, okay, well, this is also not healthy for me either. And it's upsetting me. So now it's impacting my mental well-being. So it's like, sometimes I think you just have to do the thing that like works. That's still
squeezing your arms so tight against your body.
I'm like, I can't even go out in public. I'm like, I smell.
Especially in Florida.
Yeah, exactly. So I think in general with beauty stuff, like you just got to find what works for you, what makes you feel good. I mean, that's the whole point of it in general.
Before we wrap up, like 3 products we didn't get to that you feel like are important for moms to know.
Thrive mascara, the Thrive Cosmetics mascara. It's a tubing
like
mascara.
Thrive Market?
It's Thrive Cosmetics. I can send you guys the link, but
it's tubing mascara. I've heard a lot about tubing mascaras lately.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
So it actually like almost encapsulates your lash. So the real thing that it means is that when you take it off, it doesn't come off in like a smeary inky thing. It actually comes off like little tubes that just like slide right off your lashes.
So it's a coating. Yeah.
Yeah. So I actually just love it because I feel like taking it off is so easy. You're just like, you wet your fingers and just literally just slide them off. And I just feel like it really, it's honestly very satisfying. And you get the smear. I mean, if you're someone that like, it could be a little flakier than your traditional mascara just because if you touch your eyes, like it has this little like tubing thing on it. But I love it. I feel like there are a few mascaras that can do what that one does. I also love, if you get to treat yourself to a mask, there's the Dr. Brandt magnetic mask. And it's kind of, it does draw out all the toxins and like gives you a nice, beautiful glow, but you literally use this magnet and like you apply this like activated charcoal type mask all over your face. And then you use this magnet and it's like, it's like the most satisfying, like almost science experimenty type mask.
That's so cool.
And if you're someone who loves like a good peel off or like a Biore pore strip, just because of the satisfaction, that comes with that.
Right.
This will deliver.
Love it.
Do you want one more?
That's 2. One more.
My God, I feel like I gave all my paddle brush.
Your secrets. Paddle brush, that can be one. I mean,
the GHD paddle brush.
You gave us some good stuff. This was so great.
This was so fun.
I feel like our listeners have to feel armored and ready to go take on the day at this point. We've got positive influences. We've got beauty products to make you feel great. You are fabulous. I love you so much. Thank you so much for taking the time to be on.
Thank you for having me. This was so fun.
That was so fun.
It's going in my notebook for sure.
Ooh. Yeah. Maybe ours too.
There you go. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.